Beneath the dazzling glow of a penthouse perched atop Manhattan's skyline, New York City pulsed with the extravagance of Olivia Harper's 30th birthday celebration. Massive crystal chandeliers hung suspended, casting shimmering reflections across flutes of costly champagne, each golden bubble whispering tales of wealth and power. The guest list, a parade of tycoons, media stars, and socialites, glided past one another in resplendent attire, their laughter weaving seamlessly with the lilting strains of a violin's melody. At the heart of the room stood Olivia, radiant in a pristine white silk gown that clung softly to the gentle curves of her 6-month pregnant figure. Her chestnut hair cascaded in glossy waves, and her deep blue eyes sparkled with a fragile joy. As the wife of Liam Harper, the tech billionaire behind the Apex Innovations empire, Olivia was no stranger to the spotlight's glare, but tonight, a heavy weight pressed against her heart. She sensed a chilling distance in Liam's gaze, an icy void she could neither name nor fathom. Olivia moved gracefully through the crowd, her hand instinctively resting on her belly, where her unborn child grew with each passing day. She offered a smile, one perfected over years of being the impeccable woman at Liam's side, but beneath it, a storm of emotion simmered. She longed to draw closer to him, to share this fleeting moment, to believe their love remained untouched by time. Raising her glass, poised to offer a toast, her eyes searched for Liam amidst the sea of faces. There he stood, tall, magnetic in his tailored black suit, but his gaze did not meet hers. Instead, it drifted to a shadowed corner of the room, where another figure commanded the room's attention with effortless allure. Then, like a bolt of lightning tearing through a clear sky, a slap struck Olivia's cheek. The sharp crack of the blow drowned out the music, piercing and merciless. The room fell into a stunned hush, as if time itself had frozen. Faces of the elite turned, eyes wide with shock and curiosity. Olivia stood rooted, her trembling hand rising to her burning cheek, humiliation searing her heart like a wildfire. She looked to Liam, desperate for an explanation, a flicker of remorse, but found only cold indifference in his eyes. The crowd parted, and from the corner emerged Sophia Blake. The young woman, with golden hair gleaming and lips painted a vivid red, was a rising star among Apex's software engineers. Her smile cut like a blade, her eyes glinting with triumphant pride, as if she had just claimed a resounding victory. Sophia paused beside Liam, her hand brushing his arm, a subtle, deliberate gesture that spoke volumes, staking a claim without a single word. Olivia's heart constricted, as though squeezed by an invisible fist. She felt the weight of countless eyes upon her, pitying, probing, mocking. Each glance was a dagger, slicing into her dignity. She wanted to scream, to confront Liam, to challenge Sophia, but her feet felt anchored to the floor, heavy as lead. Shame, pain, and betrayal churned within her chest, stealing her breath. She clutched her cheek, feeling the warmth of her wounded skin, and in that moment, she knew she had lost something irreplaceable. Yet, amid the tempest of emotions, a spark flared in her mind. It was not weakness, but a small, smoldering flame, fierce and unyielding. It was resolve, a silent vow that this moment would not define her. Olivia turned, her chin lifted high despite the tears threatening to spill. The murmurs of the guests trailed behind her, but she did not look back. She left the penthouse, abandoning its opulent lights and hollow smiles. Outside, the night wind of New York swept over her, biting yet cleansing. She stood on the balcony, gazing down at the city's radiant tapestry of lights, and within her, a plan began to take shape. Liam's slap was not just a betrayal, it was a wake-up call. Olivia knew she could no longer dwell in the shadows of the husband she had once adored. The child within her deserved a mother of strength, and she would become that mother, no matter the cost. As her hand rested on her belly, feeling the faint pulse of life, her eyes gleamed with a steely determination. Tonight, she had not only lost a husband, she had found herself. In the small but warm sanctuary of Olivia's apartment, a soft golden glow from the desk lamp spilled across the room, pushing back the chill of the New York night. The space, with its wooden bookshelves and plush rug, was a haven, a refuge for Olivia after the tempest that had raged at the penthouse. She sat in an armchair, her hands cradling her belly, where her unborn child flickered like a tiny flame, warming her bleeding heart. Across from her was Anna Chen, her doctor, who had transcended the boundaries of a caregiver to become her dearest friend. Anna, with her dark hair neatly tied back and sharp, discerning eyes, listened in silence, her gaze radiating a profound understanding. Tears traced slow paths down Olivia's cheeks, each drop a shard of the humiliation she had endured at her birthday celebration. The sting of Liam's slap, the haughty glint in Sophia's eyes, the deafening silence of the crowd, all were like daggers, carving into her pride. Olivia recounted the ordeal, her voice trembling yet resolute. She described the moment Liam's hand struck her, the searing burn on her cheek, and the icy detachment in his eyes as Sophia stepped forward. Each word dragged her back to that chandelier-lit room, a place where she once believed she belonged. Now she felt like a stranger, betrayed not only by the husband she loved, but by the entire world she had helped build. Anna did not interrupt, but her fingers tightened around her teacup, as if suppressing a fury on Olivia's behalf. Having witnessed the ruthless dramas of the elite, Anna sensed that the slap was no mere outburst. Something deeper, a secret lurking in the shadows, was at play, and she was determined to help Olivia uncover it. Anna gently placed a hand on Olivia's shoulder, a gesture both tender and steadfast, as if pouring strength into her. She suggested that Olivia check Liam's work emails, accessible to her through her role managing Apex Innovations' charitable foundation. The idea pierced the fog of Olivia's mind like a beam of light. She hesitated, not out of fear of breaching privacy, but from the dread of facing the truth. Yet the image of Sophia standing beside Liam, her smug smile blazing, incinerated her doubts. Olivia rose, moving to the desk where her trusty, weathered laptop waited. Beneath the dim glow of the screen, she logged into the system, her fingers gliding over the keys with growing resolve. Anna sat close, her eyes unwavering, like a sentinel guarding the moment when truth would emerge. Each email that opened was a fragment of a nightmare. Olivia uncovered suspicious correspondence between Sophia and a notorious rival of Apex. Secret code, the lifeblood of Liam's tech empire, was being offered for sale at a price of billions. She read each line, her heart pounding, her breath quickening. The words on the screen were not just evidence of betrayal. They were a declaration of war. Sophia was not merely Liam's lover. She was a traitor, a venomous serpent silently dismantling everything Olivia and Liam had built. Olivia's body trembled, not with fear, but with a fire of rage igniting deep within. She felt her wounds transforming into power, as if each heartbeat screamed that she would not let anyone steal her future or her child's. Olivia turned to Anna, her eyes gleaming with a newfound resolve. She said nothing, but her gaze spoke volumes. She had found her purpose. Sophia would pay, not just for stealing her love, but for daring to toy with the dreams and safety of the child she carried. Anna's lips curved into a subtle, proud smile, as if she had long foreseen this fire in Olivia. The small room grew warmer, not only from the lamp's light but from the unspoken bond between the two women. Olivia knew she was not alone, and that knowledge gave her the courage to press forward. As she closed the laptop, the screen's glow faded, but within her, a plan took shape, sharp and unrelenting. Tonight, she was not just a betrayed wife, she was a warrior, ready to fight for what was rightfully hers. In Olivia's modest apartment, the darkness of the New York night enveloped the space, broken only by the faint glow of a desk lamp casting light across her face, where traces of exhaustion mingled with fierce determination. The room, infused with the delicate scent of chamomile tea and the steady ticking of a clock, became her clandestine fortress, a sanctuary where she and Anna Chen quietly forged a plan to bring down Sophia. Olivia sat at her desk, her hands resting on her belly, feeling the subtle movements of her unborn child. Each gentle pulse from that tiny being was a reminder of why she could not surrender. The pain of Liam's slap, Sophia's betrayal, and the secrets unearthed in those damning emails still smoldered within her. But they were no longer burdens. They were fuel, igniting a fire of resolve that transformed her from a wounded wife into a silent warrior. Anna, with her sharp intellect and extensive network spanning medicine and technology, became Olivia's guiding light. She was more than a doctor. She was a companion, the one who saw the latent strength in Olivia even when Olivia herself was blind to it. With the precision of a strategist, Anna reached out to an ethical hacker, a former FBI operative whose anonymity cloaked a rare talent for exposing deeply buried secrets. Through encrypted exchanges, this expert agreed to help Olivia trace Sophia's transactions, from offshore bank accounts in the Caymans to coded messages on covert platforms. Each piece of information that arrived was like a fragment of a treacherous puzzle, and Olivia, though she had never imagined herself navigating such a perilous world, felt her heart beat stronger with every step forward. Night after night, as the city outside slipped into slumber, Olivia sat in the quiet room, her eyes fixed on the laptop screen. The sterile data, account numbers, transaction timestamps, snippets of code, came alive, weaving a vivid tale of Sophia's deceit. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the tidal wave of emotions surging within. She thought of the child she carried, of the dreams she had painted for its future. A home filled with love, a mother strong and proud. The notion that Sophia, with her arrogant smile and boundless ambition, could steal that future set Olivia's blood ablaze. She was no longer fighting solely for herself. Each keystroke, each decoded transaction, felt like laying bricks in a protective wall around her child, an impenetrable fortress nothing could breach. Anna was always there, seated across from a cup of cold tea, her gaze gentle yet resolute. She needed no words to comfort. Her mere presence was enough to soothe the raw wounds in Olivia's heart. At times, Anna would rest her hand on Olivia's, a small but powerful gesture, as if to remind her she was not alone. In those moments, Olivia felt their friendship like a flame warming her through a storm. Anna was not just a friend, she was a lighthouse, guiding Olivia through her darkest days. Once, when Olivia felt drained, when the numbers and data seemed too overwhelming, Anna looked at her, her eyes piercing through to her soul. No words were needed. Olivia understood that Anna believed in her, believed she was stronger than she ever imagined. That faith pulled her back to her feet, urging her to delve deeper into the shadows for the truth. As the nights passed, Olivia sensed a transformation within herself. She was no longer the woman who merely smiled at Liam's side, no longer the shadow of a tech billionaire. Each piece of evidence she gathered, each secret she exposed, was a step toward reclaiming control of her life. An inner strength, one she had never recognized before, began to rise, sharp and unquenchable. She looked in the mirror and saw eyes no longer clouded with tears, but sparkling with purpose. Sophia may have stolen Liam's love, but she would never take Olivia's dignity. Her friendship with Anna, like an unbreakable thread, held her steady against the crashing waves. As she shut her laptop in the early morning hours, her gaze drifted to the window, where the city's lights twinkled. Within her, a silent vow echoed. She would make Sophia pay, not just for herself, but for the child she carried and for the woman she was becoming. In Olivia's small apartment, the glow from her laptop screen flickered like a restless flame, casting sharp, sorrow-tinged features across her face. The New York night was hushed, broken only by the steady tap of her keystrokes and the resolute rhythm of her breathing. Each piece of evidence she and Anna had gathered from the ethical hacker was a razor-sharp blade, slicing deeper into the veil of secrets Sophia Blake had woven. Olivia, her hands trembling slightly as they navigated lines of data, was no longer the fragile woman who had fled the penthouse in disgrace. She was plunging into the darkness, and each new revelation struck like a hammer, shattering the lingering illusions of her marriage. Her heart, though still bleeding from Liam's betrayal, now pulsed with a fierce new purpose: to expose the truth and safeguard the future of her unborn child. The deeper she delved, the more horrified Olivia became at the depths of Sophia's ruthlessness. It wasn't enough that Sophia had sold Apex Innovations' secret code, the very soul of the company. She was also scheming to seize a leadership role within the firm. Encrypted emails, decrypted by Anna's hacker, unveiled a meticulous plan. Sophia intended to erase Olivia from the picture, reducing her to a faint memory while she ascended to power alongside Liam. Each word Olivia read was a needle piercing her pride. She imagined Sophia, with her haughty smile and icy gaze, calculating every move to obliterate Olivia from the world she had helped build. But what truly shattered Olivia's heart was a leaked audio file, delivered by the hacker on a quiet late night. When Olivia pressed play, Sophia's smooth voice filled the room, sharp as a dagger. She laughed mockingly, her tone dripping with contempt, dismissing Olivia as nothing but Liam's shadow. Those words were a sword through Olivia's chest, cutting deep into the years of sacrifice, trust, and love she had poured out. She sat there, one hand clutching her belly, the other gripping the edge of the desk. Waves of humiliation and pain crashing over her like a storm. The image of herself in Sophia's eyes, a faceless, feeble woman existing only to prop up Liam, was a bucket of ice water doused on her dignity. She wanted to scream, to smash everything to banish the agony. But then she drew a deep breath. Her unborn child stirred, a small movement that anchored her. She could not collapse. Not now. Not when she had come so far. Instead of letting Sophia's venomous words crush her, Olivia felt a fire ignite within her core. The pain ceased to be a burden. It became fuel, a catalyst forging a stronger version of herself. She wiped away the tear trailing down her cheek, her eyes gleaming with an unshakable resolve. Sophia might see her as a shadow, but Olivia would prove she was ablaze, ready to incinerate every scheme. With Anna's support, she began preparing for a daring move, a plan demanding courage she hadn't known she possessed. She secretly contacted Apex's shareholders, who still respected her for her keen intellect and dedication as the charitable foundation's manager. Through discreet calls and encrypted emails, Olivia skillfully built a network of allies, people who saw her not just as Liam's wife, but as a formidable mind in her own right. Each contact was a challenge, requiring Olivia to suppress her personal pain to project confidence and sharpness. She knew that to turn the tide, she needed a grand stage, where the truth could be laid bare under the spotlight. The upcoming Global Tech Conference, a gathering of brilliant minds and prying media eyes, was the perfect opportunity. Olivia envisioned that moment, standing before the crowd, no longer a victim, but the bearer of truth. The thought made her heart race, not with fear, but with exhilaration. She wasn't fighting for revenge alone. She was fighting to reclaim herself, to prove she was never the shadow Sophia believed her to be. As she closed her laptop, the screen's light dimmed, but within Olivia, a plan had crystallized, precise and unrelenting. She gazed out the window, where the city's lights twinkled like stars. Her unborn child was her wellspring of strength, a reminder that she lived for more than herself. With Anna by her side and silent allies rallying behind her, Olivia felt like a warrior donning armor, ready to march into battle. Sophia may have stolen Liam's love, but she would never take Olivia's dignity or will. That night, in that small room, a new woman was born, a woman unafraid of the dark, for she knew how to transform it into light. Under the blazing lights of the Global Tech Conference in San Francisco, Olivia Harper ascended the stage, each step resounding with an unshakable resolve. The spotlight bathed her, highlighting the deep green silk dress that hugged her form, accentuating the graceful yet formidable beauty of a woman 7 months pregnant. The crowd, hundreds of investors, engineers, and reporters, murmured in surprise. No one had anticipated that Olivia, the typically reserved wife of billionaire Liam Harper, would appear as a guest speaker. She stood there, her hands lightly resting on her belly, feeling the steady pulse of her unborn child like a silent vow reminding her why she fought. Within her, a tempest of emotions swirled: fear, anger, but above all, determination. This was not merely a moment to unveil the truth. It was the hour to reclaim her honor, to reclaim herself. From the front row, Liam gazed up, his face darkened, his brows furrowed in irritation. Olivia felt the weight of his stare, cold and commanding, as if warning her that she was trespassing on his domain. But she did not falter. Once, she had feared that gaze, had shrunk within the shadow of the husband she loved, but now it only fanned the flames within her. In the wings, Sophia Blake stood, her golden hair glinting under the lights, a smug smile playing on her lips. She looked at Olivia as one might regard a feeble prey, convinced she held everything in her grasp: Liam's affection, Apex's future, and Olivia's downfall. That smile, arrogant and cruel, stabbed at Olivia's heart like a dagger, but instead of pain, it made her clench her fists, nails digging into her palms, transforming agony into strength. Olivia drew a deep breath, her voice ringing out, calm yet razor-sharp, slicing through the air like a blade. She began her presentation, each word chosen with precision, like bullets aimed at the heart of deception. A massive screen behind her lit up, displaying encrypted emails, offshore bank transactions, and, finally, Sophia's recorded voice. Her haughty tone echoed through the hall, mocking Olivia as nothing but a shadow, and boasting of her scheme to sell Apex's secrets to a rival. The audience held its breath, the room frozen in a moment of stunned silence. Faces in the crowd shifted from surprise to shock, then outrage. Olivia stood firm, her gaze steady on the audience, but she sensed the air change. The truth, like a blinding light, was dispelling the darkness Sophia had constructed. Within Olivia, a tidal wave of emotions surged. She thought of the long nights hunched over her laptop, her hands trembling as she sifted through data, of Anna's friendship like a flame warming her through the storm. She recalled Liam's slap, Sophia's scornful glare, and the child in her womb, the one she swore to protect at all costs. Each piece of evidence she presented was not just a blow against Sophia, but a brick in rebuilding her own dignity. She was no longer the woman who had fled the penthouse in tears. She was a warrior, and this stage was her battlefield. As the recording ended, the crowd's murmurs erupted, like waves crashing against the shore. Olivia glanced at the front row, seeing Liam's face pale, his hands clenched, his eyes wild with panic as he realized his empire teetered on the brink of collapse. For the first time, she saw him diminished, no longer the man who once made her tremble. Sophia in the wings had lost her smile. Her face was ashen, her eyes wide with horror as she grasped that her game was over. Olivia did not look at her, did not need to. She knew this moment had stripped away Sophia's mask, exposing her true self to the world. Within Olivia, a sense of relief crept in, not from victory, but from fulfilling a promise to herself. She had risen, not for vengeance, but to protect what mattered most: her child, her honor, and the future she would forge with her own hands. As she concluded her speech, her voice remained steady, yet carried a power that silenced the hall. She had no need to shout or weep. The truth spoke for her, resounding louder than any words. Olivia stood on the podium, the stage lights encircling her like a halo. She felt the crowd's eyes upon her, no longer pitying or curious, but reverent. In that moment, she was not merely Liam Harper's wife. She was Olivia, a woman who had turned pain into power, A mother ready to fight for her child, a warrior who would never yield. As she stepped down, her heart pounded, not with fear, but with pride. She knew this was only the beginning, that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she was ready. With her child within her and the truth as her ally, Olivia walked away from the spotlight, carrying her own radiant light. On the resplendent stage of the San Francisco Tech Conference, Olivia Harper stood tall, the stage lights enveloping her like a halo, illuminating the unyielding strength of a woman who had just shattered the darkness of deceit. Her speech, razor-sharp and uncompromising, had just concluded, leaving the auditorium steeped in stunned silence before erupting into indignant murmurs. She felt the powerful, steady beat of her heart, intertwining with the rhythm of the life within her womb. The gazes fixed upon her were no longer the curious or pitying stares from that fateful penthouse gala. They were looks of reverence, proof that she had transcended her pain to become an unquenchable flame. Yet, this moment, with the truth about Sophia Blake freshly exposed, was not the storm's climax. Suddenly, a side door to the auditorium burst open, and a team of security guards in black uniforms stormed in, their footsteps resounding decisively on the wooden floor. The crowd turned, cameras from the press swiveling hastily, their flashes pulsing relentlessly as if to devour every second. Sophia, who mere minutes ago had stood in the wings with a smug smile, was now dragged into the blinding light. Her once gleaming golden hair was disheveled, her eyes wide with panic, her face drained of color, as if life itself had abandoned her. She thrashed, struggling to break free from the iron grip of the guards, but each movement only made her appear more pathetic. The clatter of her high heels against the floor, the stifled cries escaping her lips, all blended into a symphony of collapse. The cameras missed nothing, capturing Sophia's transformation, from a brilliant, ambitious engineer to an unmasked traitor, into the epicenter of humiliation before the media's lens. Olivia, still standing at the podium, did not turn to watch Sophia's exit. She had no need to. The clamor of the crowd, the incessant snap of camera shutters, and the chaos in the wings told the story in full. Within her, a sense of relief began to seep through, not born of vengeful joy, but from the certainty that justice had been served. She had done what her heart demanded, protected her child's future, upheld the values she cherished, and, above all, safeguarded herself. Her gaze stretched forward, piercing through the sea of agitated faces, as if glimpsing a new horizon. Sophia may have tried to take everything, but she had failed. Olivia had not merely survived, she had triumphed, not through bitterness, but through the power of truth. The image of Sophia being hauled from the conference spread like wildfire across social media, an uncontrollable blaze. On Twitter, Instagram, and television news, the moment of her tangled hair and frantic expression became an emblem of downfall. Sensational headlines flooded the airwaves. Traitorous engineer exposed at tech summit, and billion-dollar scandal rocks apex innovations. Each article, each post, was a hammer blow to Sophia's reputation, but Olivia paid no heed to the frenzy. She stood on the stage, drawing a deep breath, and continued her speech. Her voice, though soft, carried the strength of someone who had rediscovered herself. "The truth always prevails," she said, each word a gem honed through nights of anguish. "And no one can steal your worth." The entire auditorium rose to its feet, applause thundering like a tidal wave, enveloping Olivia in a whirlwind of admiration and inspiration. She felt the warmth radiating from the crowd, from strangers who saw her not as a victim of betrayal, but as an icon of resilience. In that moment, Olivia thought of Anna, of the long nights they spent poring over data, of the friendship that had pulled her from the abyss. She thought of the child in her womb, of the promise to give them a mother who would never yield. Tears glistened in her eyes, but she held them back. She smiled, not to mask pain, but to proclaim that she had found her light. As the applause gradually faded, Olivia stood there, absorbing the weight of the moment. She knew she had not only defeated Sophia, she had vanquished the fears and doubts that had once confined her in Liam's shadow. She had reclaimed her honor, not just for herself, but for every woman who had been belittled or betrayed. As she stepped down from the stage, the lights still followed her, but she felt no pressure. She felt free. The media could continue to dissect Sophia's story, but Olivia no longer needed the spotlight to shine. She had discovered the fire within herself, and it would guide her through the challenges ahead. With her child within her and the truth as her ally, Olivia walked out of the auditorium carrying an unshakable belief. She was not just a survivor. She was the architect of her own future. In the quiet aftermath of the San Francisco Tech Conference, Olivia Harper stood at the precipice of a new beginning, her heart no longer tethered to the pain that had once defined her. The echoes of the crowd's applause still lingered in her mind, a testament to the truth she had unveiled, but it was the silence of her own resolve that now guided her. The world she had known, the glittering penthouse, the title of Liam Harper's wife, the suffocating weight of betrayal, lay in ruins. But from those ashes, Olivia felt a spark of rebirth. She returned to New York not as a broken woman, but as one forged anew, her spirit tempered by the fire of her own resilience. The decision to file for divorce came not as a moment of defeat, but as a declaration of freedom. She sat in a lawyer's office, the sterile scent of paper and ink surrounding her, and signed the documents with a steady hand. Each stroke of the pen was a severance of the chains that had bound her to Liam, to the man who had struck her, betrayed her, and underestimated her. Liam, now drowning in the chaos of shareholder lawsuits and a crumbling reputation, had no power to stop her. The empire he had built, Apex Innovations, teetered on the edge of collapse, its secrets sold, and its leader exposed as a man who had trusted the wrong ally. Olivia felt no satisfaction in his downfall, only a quiet relief that his shadow no longer loomed over her. She packed a few suitcases, leaving behind the opulent penthouse that had once been her gilded cage. As she walked through the marble halls one last time, her footsteps echoed, each one lighter than the last. The designer gowns, the sparkling jewels, the memories of a life built on illusion, she left them all behind. In their place, she carried a heart unburdened, a mind sharpened by adversity, and the fierce love for the child growing within her. The city outside buzzed with its relentless energy, and Olivia stepped into it, not as a victim, but as a woman ready to carve her own path. With the divorce papers signed and the penthouse a fading memory, Olivia turned her focus to a dream that had been born in the sleepless nights of her investigation. She founded Nova Tech, a tech company dedicated to data security, a mission inspired by the very skills she had honed while unraveling Sophia's treachery. In a modest office in Brooklyn, far from the glitz of Manhattan, she set up her new headquarters. The space was small, with exposed brick walls and large windows that let in streams of golden light, a stark contrast to the cold grandeur of Apex's corporate towers. Olivia sat at a simple wooden desk, her laptop open, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as she coded, planned, and built. The work was grueling, the hours long, but each task filled her with a purpose she had never known in her years as Liam's wife. She was no longer an accessory to someone else's success. She was the architect of her own. Nova Tech quickly caught the attention of investors and tech enthusiasts, its innovative approach to cybersecurity earning praise in an industry hungry for trust. Olivia's story, her rise from the ashes of betrayal to become a trailblazing CEO, spread like wildfire, making her a symbol of resilience for women who had faced their own battles. She read the articles, saw her face on magazine covers, but the accolades meant little compared to the fire that burned within her. Each milestone for Nova Tech was a victory not just for her, but for the child she would soon bring into the world. She imagined her son or daughter growing up in a home built on strength, not secrets, and that vision drove her forward, even on the days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. In her office, Olivia hung a single-framed photograph on the wall, A candid shot of her and Anna Chen, taken during one of their late-night strategy sessions. Anna's warm smile and Olivia's determined gaze captured a bond that had been her lifeline through the storm. The photo was a quiet reminder of the friendship that had saved her, not through grand gestures, but through unwavering presence and belief. Anna had seen the strength in Olivia when she could not see it herself, and that faith had become the foundation of her rebirth. Each morning, as Olivia stepped into her office, she glanced at the photo, feeling a surge of gratitude that anchored her amidst the whirlwind of her new life. As the weeks turned to months, Olivia worked with a passion that radiated from her core. She met with engineers, pitched to investors, and spoke at small industry events, her voice growing steadier with each appearance. The skills she had learned in the shadows, analyzing data, reading people, staying one step ahead, now shone in the light of her own ambition. She was no longer the woman who had cowered under Liam's gaze or flinched at Sophia's scorn. She was Olivia Harper, founder of Novatech, a mother-to-be, and a force to be reckoned with. The weight of her pregnancy, the gentle curve of her belly, was a constant reminder of the future she was building, not just for herself, but for the child who would inherit her strength. In the quiet moments, when the office was empty and the city outside hummed with its endless rhythm, Olivia would stand by the window, looking out at the skyline. The pain of her past, Liam's betrayal, Sophia's cruelty, the humiliation of that fateful night, still lingered, but it no longer defined her. She had walked through fire and emerged not as a victim, but as a creator, a leader, a woman who had reclaimed her worth. The child within her kicked softly, and she smiled, her hand resting on her belly. Novatech was more than a company. It was her legacy, a testament to the truth that no one could take away her value. With Anna's friendship as her anchor and her unborn child as her muse, Olivia knew she was not just surviving. She was thriving, reborn from the ashes of a life she had left behind. A year had passed since the seismic events that reshaped Olivia Harper's life, and now she stood once more under the bright lights of a tech conference, this time in the heart of Silicon Valley. The stage was vast, its sleek design a testament to the industry's obsession with innovation. But it was Olivia who commanded the space. As the CEO of Novatech, she was no longer the shadowed wife of a tech titan or the woman humiliated at a glittering penthouse gala. She was a force, her presence radiating a quiet power that silenced the room before she even spoke. Her dark hair was swept back, her eyes sharp with purpose, and her voice, when it came, carried the weight of a journey through darkness to light. Behind her, the Novatech logo glowed on a massive screen, a symbol of the empire she had built from the ashes of betrayal. Yet it was not the accolades or the success that fueled her today. It was the soft, steady rhythm of her son Noah's heartbeat, a melody that anchored her soul. In the wings of the stage, Anna Chen stood cradling Noah, now a bright-eyed infant with his mother's determined gaze. His giggles, muffled by the hum of the crowd, were a private symphony for Olivia, a reminder of the life she had fought for. Anna's smile, warm and unwavering, was a beacon of the friendship that had carried Olivia through her darkest nights. As Olivia began her speech, she felt their presence like a shield, protecting her from the ghosts of her past. She spoke not of the scandal that had once defined her, the slap from Liam, Sophia's treachery, or the media frenzy that followed. Instead, she shared a story of resilience, of finding light in the bleakest moments, of rebuilding a life not just for herself, but for the child who had given her purpose. Her words were measured, each one polished by the pain and triumph of the past year, and they landed with a force that stirred the hearts of the audience. The crowd, a mix of young engineers with starry-eyed dreams and seasoned CEOs with battle-hardened cynicism, leaned forward, captivated. Olivia's story was not one of victimhood, though it could have been. She spoke of the nights spent decoding data to uncover Sophia's betrayal, of the courage it took to walk away from a marriage that had broken her, and of the audacity to start Novatech in a world that doubted her. Her voice trembled slightly, not with weakness, but with the raw emotion of a woman who had faced her fears and emerged stronger. She described the moment she held Noah for the first time, his tiny hand curling around her finger, and how that touch had erased the lingering pain of Liam's betrayal. In that instant, she had known that her worth was not defined by the man who had hurt her or the woman who had mocked her, but by the love she could give and the legacy she could build. Inside, Olivia's heart swelled with a complex tapestry of emotions. There was pride, fierce and unyielding, for the empire she had created. Novatech was not just a company, it was a testament to her intellect, her grit, and her refusal to be diminished. Yet, there was also a quiet ache, a residue of the life she had once envisioned with Liam, now a distant memory. She did not dwell on it, but it lingered like a faint scar, a reminder of how far she had come. As she spoke, she felt the weight of the audience's gaze, not as judgment, but as connection. They saw her not as a headline or a scandal, but as a woman who had turned betrayal into triumph. That realization filled her with a warmth that rivaled the sun, a sense that her story was not just her own, but a beacon for anyone who had ever been broken and dared to rise again. When she stepped down from the stage, the applause was deafening, a tidal wave of admiration that crashed over her. Olivia's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, not of sorrow, but of hope. She glanced toward Anna and Noah, her anchors in a world that had once tried to sweep her away. Noah's laughter, bright and unrestrained, cut through the noise, and Olivia's heart lifted. She was no longer the woman who had fled a penthouse in tears, nor the one who had stood trembling before a laptop, uncovering secrets in the dead of night. She was a mother, a leader, a survivor who had rewritten her story with ink forged from pain and perseverance. The conference hall, with its gleaming lights and buzzing energy, faded into the background as she walked toward her son, her steps light with the certainty of her purpose. Olivia's journey had not just built a new empire, it had ignited a spark in millions. Her story, shared through articles, podcasts, and now this stage, resonated with women who saw their own struggles in her courage, with dreamers who found inspiration in her defiance, and with anyone who believed that light could emerge from darkness. As she reached Anna and scooped Noah into her arms, his warmth against her chest, Olivia felt a profound peace. The betrayal that had once threatened to define her was now a distant echo, drowned out by the life she had created. She looked out at the crowd, their faces a mosaic of hope and admiration, and knew that she had done more than survive. She had shown the world that even in the face of heartbreak, you could write a story that shone brighter than any betrayal. With Noah's tiny hand in hers and Anna's steady presence beside her, Olivia stepped into the future, her heart alight with the promise of new beginnings.